Welcome back to the Horse Racing Network with me, Izzy Phillips, and I'm joined, as always, by racing broadcaster and journalist Paul Alster and Jack Milner from Quiff. We're going to be taking a look ahead to the Cheltenham December Gold Cup this weekend. We've got a really exciting book of races on the cards, actually. And before we get into that, I'm just going to take a little look at the weather going forward and a little bit of a ground analysis. So at the moment, the ground at Cheltenham is good to soft in places. There isn't really a lot of rain in the forecast over the next few days, maybe a little overnight on Friday. But other than that, it's bright and sunny. So a really lovely, crisp winter's day for you if you are going racing on Saturday. We're going to kick things off with the big one, Paul. And we're going to come to that December Gold Cup. In the running, we have Jaguar, who's a little bit of a Cheltenham specialist. You've also got Vincenzo, Ho Jolie Smoke, Kim Roke, Colonel Harry, who is a big hopeful for the Jamie Snowden team. You've got Imperial Saint, Il Rodotto, Martator, if you think that Venetia's going to start to hit that form, Es Perfecto, Garlaw, and Glengawley. Paul, who would you be going for here? I've got quite a strong fancy in this one that I've been waiting to run. I know I've been messaging in our group chat, but I'll come to you first.
Okay, I suspect a Jamie Snowden angle to that selection from Izzy, but we'll have to wait and see. I think this is a good renewal. First of all, you're probably aware that this has been renamed the Support the Hunt Family Fund December Gold Cup, and funds are being raised to support this fund set up by John and Amy Hunt in memory of John's late wife and two daughters. I'm sure everybody knows the story. John is one of my very best friends. So anybody that wants to donate can find the Hunt Family Fund online and be able to support their new foundation that's going to help women that are in danger. Jaguar, as you say, is favourite. And he was so progressive last season, wasn't he? And he's got an entry in the Gold Cup this season. But he's starting this year £30 higher than last year. And whether he'll be ready first time out, I don't know. I think this is a really hot renewal with Vincenzo holding every chance after his second in the Paddy Power. I'm not going to go through too many of these. I just want to draw your attention to the horse I think could be the best value, and that is Imperial Saint for Philip Hobbs and Johnson White. And this horse has got some really good form to his name. He was a winner at Aintree on Boxing Day last year of a decent handicap chase. Then he was third here at Cheltenham over the 2.5 miles in a hot handicap chase behind Mundo Orange. Later on, he was second at Aintree in the Freebooter handicap chase. And he ran in the very warm Old Rowan handicap chase first time out this season, won by Hitman, only beaten 11 lengths and not knocked about once it was clear he wasn't going to be winning. He was favourite that day, but possibly he wasn't quite as sharp as they thought he was. I think that at the 10-1, each way Imperial Saint has got a big chance. And having heard what you've had to say about the weather forecast, if it dries out, that will only help his cause. So I'm quite sweet on a big effort from Imperial Saint.
What about you, Jack? Would you be going for the same there as Paul? Do you like the look of Imperial Saint, or is another taking your eye?
I would seldom disagree with Mr. Olsen when it comes to a value perspective. Jaguar's fascinating because the hype he had last year to go off as, was it 72 favourite, 3-1 favourite in the end for a 20-run handicap around Cheltenham, shows that he's clearly held in high regard and he's clearly well done by the handicap. But as Paul's rightly said, he's gone £30. The first time out, I don't know whether that's the right time to get him. I've been a big fan of Vincenzo. He's been in my tracker for 2 years, but yeah, I was a little bit disappointed when he got turned over. Yeah, I suppose he was second last time out here in the big one itself. He's gone up again for that. I don't like horses who go up in the handicap for getting beat. Dylan Johnson's lost his claim now, so he's £5 wrong now. And in these tough handicaps, I prefer to have something at a bigger price. Hence how we're looking for the long shots last week, and it luckily came good thanks to Mr. Twig. So I do like the again, I think Paul's alluded to your fancy, so I'll leave that. But Es Perfecto is an interesting one for Alan King. He's just kind of come off the cold list. He's had a couple of winners in the week. He's got course and distance winning form. He's crept up with a handicap, but he's had a run under his belt. He pulled up in the Paddy Power last time out. He's gone down a pound. King Isiara in better form now. And I think just at the prices, 18-1 for me, I'm happy to take a punt on Esperfecto. Again, for what Paul's alluded to, I like your potential fancy first, but I'll tee you up for that yourself, is there?
Well, interestingly, I do like the look of Colonel Harry. He has got a fantastic chance. I think, as Paul mentioned, there's the Jamie Snowden angle, and that is that he's at an incredible strike rate at the moment. Gavin Sheehan on board, he's also riding out of his skin, whether it be for Jamie Snowden or other trainers for that matter. So I do think that they think really highly of him. Obviously, he fell at Cheltenham when he last ran there, so you'd obviously want to see a better performance than that. But I think it's clear that he perhaps has a very, very good chance in this. But my main fancy is a bit boring, really, but it is Jaguar. I know that the Oliver Greenall stable have sort of had a few issues recently, perhaps haven't been quite firing in the winners. But Jaguar, if you remember, was meant to run in that Paddy Power Gold Cup at Cheltenham at the November meeting, and ended up being a non-runner, which was very disappointing because I was waiting for him to run. So I'm hoping he can take his chance on Saturday. But I do like the two of them. So I think I will probably have a little look at a forecast between them as well, because I really can see them being in the finish. And I do agree with what you're saying around Vincenzo as well. I also think he'll be there. So got some quite interesting selections for this race. With some interest there for Esperfecto, Imperial Saint for Paul, and for me, half the market by the sound of it, but mainly Jaguar and Colonel Harry. And that brings us on to the next race. That is the 225. It is the Reed McNichols blog at BetMGM. This race is run over 2 mile and half a furlong. And at the top of the market, we've got David's Well with the popular JPR1 for the Tizzards as second favourites. Country Mile, Accelero, Triple Trade, got an entry there, another for Joe Tizzard, Gunsight Ridge, Sambrew, Dr. TJ Eckelbag, and Joker de May. So actually quite an interesting little race, this one. Jack, I'll actually come to you for your selection here first. Where's the interest lie?
The interest lies in the weather. So if it's bottomless and if it's as soft can be, Accelero wins this by half the track. But I'm just making sure he's a gelding. He would want soft, if not heavy ground. Dave Massey, who's a good friend of mine, he puts up a lot of these horses to follow. Accelero was one for him last year. And then I messaged him straight after he finished fourth in an obvious chase, I think it's at Worcester. I said, this thing's a really nice horse. I need to make sure how I phrase it. I don't think Worcester was his day, but there'll be races he will win over fences. Then he won 3 weeks later at Warwick in a novices limited handicap chase of 1-2-1. Only gone up £7 for that, but I think he's potentially 140 rated horse when the conditions are right. The conditions are 2 miles on softest, not heavy ground, and if he gets his weather, I think I might be being a bit bullish here, but yeah, if it's soft ground, I think Accelero is a very good bet around the 92 mark.
And Paul, what about you? Are you agreeing with Accelero, or would you go elsewhere?
I am. Yeah.
Wow.
I think that Accelero's got an. Yeah, I do. I think he's got an excellent chance. This is a horse who is very unexposed. I mean, he's off a very lightweight, a 5-year-old off 10 stone 3. As Jack pointed out, he had a quiet run first time out. May well have needed it, and then he was pretty sharp at Warwick in that soft ground. Now, bottomless ground, I think, will help him, possibly. But I think as long as it's good to soft, with a bit of soft in there as well, I think he could prove a hard horse to hold back here off just 10 stone 3. David's Well is off the same weight as well, of course, but he's that little bit more exposed after his 3 runs, and he's gone up £22 for his 3 wins. And I think JPR1 has got his share of weight Triple Trade of the Tizard pair, I think, is the more likely. And if he stays, which is not beyond the bounds of possibility, Gunsight Ridge, despite rising nearly 11 years old, he's got a race of this nature in him. But I think Saturday could be Exelero's day.
See, I like another one at 10 stone 3, and you've already mentioned him, Paul, but I do like the look of Triple Trade. I actually backed him last time and did the forecast against Tornio, and they both sort of, one was coming up the far rail, one was coming up the stands rail, and they sort of eclipsed the rest of the field, really. So I think that was a really good performance there at Cheltenham last time out at the November meeting. So I'm going to stick with Triple Trade. Obviously, you have got that Joe Tizard's in pretty good form at the minute. He's having winners. So I'm sticking there. It'll be all of us there off of 10 stone 3 and see who who's the better horse. But
I wish I was
do
anywhere
agree
near
with
10
you.
stone 3, but that's a different argument. Yeah.
Well, the thing is with JPR1, even though you've got to think that Brendan Powell would have the choice, is that he is just carrying a lot of weight. Obviously, he has been in some classy races, but yeah, he hasn't quite delivered. And I think a 12 stone is a lot of weight to kind of carry around Cheltenham, and especially against some of these horses that really have run quite well there. So I agree with you, Paul. I actually think out of the two Tizard horses in the race, that Triple Trade is the one for me. Quite a nice price as well. You can get best odds of around 15-2 at the moment.
I do think to that jump on that point is that there will be a race where JPR1 falls in this year. He kind of always does. He falls down the weights. If you look back at that race at Ascot, it was an extended 2 miles and 172 yards. He got really tired that last half furlong. So an out and out 2 miles on a really strong gallop will help him, and he might be one of those. So if people have got the notebooks out there, he will win the season. But when he's running against unexposed horses on very low weights, it might not be the day for him on Saturday.
I imagine he'll be quite fancied because he was beaten by he beat Jello, who's obviously gone out and won again. So that's probably franking the form at the moment.
Yeah, Som Brute as well, by the way, is a horse to keep an eye out for the spring. You know, he's running around having a crack at races at the moment, probably with conditions not ideal for him. He'll come down the weights, and then you'll get him across to Aintree in the spring or something similar. And I could see him doing very well, as he tends to do when the sun's shining. So he's one to keep in that notebook as well for the springtime.
Absolutely. And then we move on to the 3 o'clock, which is the Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle. This is a grade 2. We've currently got a field of 7 entered here, and the favourite is a last time out winner at Cheltenham, again for the Lucinda Russell team, and that is Conman John. You've then got They Call Me Hugo, Reckless Spending, Carlin Rig, Casino de Mottes, Big Cadillac, and Into Something Good, bringing up the field there. Maximum price here is about around 33, so not huge, and obviously everything potentially with a bit of a chance. Do we have a big price here, or are we going with a favourite, Paul?
Big price for me. Conman John's going to go off short, and you can understand it because he was pretty impressive, really, over the course and distance. Over the course anyway, the 3 miles, the alternative 3 miles at the October meeting. And I think he seems to really revel on a sound surface. We haven't seen him as yet get stuck into soft ground, and that's what would just be a little bit of a concern for me with his little penalty as well. There's quite a few of these that are unexposed, but without going through them all, the one that I thought was really quite impressive last time out was Casino de Motte, who's another of the Tizard runners on Saturday at Cheltenham with Brendan Powell on board this time. Now, this horse won a 3 mile point-to-point in March. He had his first run under rules at Cheltenham behind Conman John when he was 5th of the 13. And first of all, it's interesting. I always like to see them having another crack at these horses. You kind of think, try get yourself into the mind of the trainer. Why is he taking him on again when he was beaten 19 lengths? Well, probably because he felt the horse wasn't streetwise on that occasion. Maybe has learned more. And certainly given the way he really picked up after the last at Kempton over 2 miles 5, he's going the right way and he's learning how to race. And I just like the way that he found extra when Powell got stuck into him and he pulled it out of the fire there. I think the extra 3 furlongs back at Cheltenham is going to suit. There's the same question about the testing ground if it comes up testing, but I'd rather back one at 18 to 1 when I'm not sure about the ground, such as Casino de Mott, than Conman John at 11 to 8.
I mean, I'm really boring with this one because it's a completely non-rational, non-podcast, research-based answer here. But my granddad's called John, so I probably will just back Conman John.
It's a certainty.
So yeah, I end up having a bit of a soft spot for any horse with the name John in it, just because. But he was a really good winner last time out. The only thing that's concerning me is not actually the ground, because obviously, as I've said, you're going to get quite a bright sunny day. Most of the day Friday and most of the day Saturday. But I think Lucinda Russell's currently only had 4 winners out of 52 runners. So at the minute, they're not quite sort of firing the winners in. He's obviously got a very good chance here, but I would agree with you. I think Casino de Mott's is probably the danger at quite a nice price. Jack, do you agree with this, or are you going to go somewhere else?
I agree with both of you. I really like Conman John as a horse. I'm immediately thinking in 2.5 years he could be a potential Scottish national horse. He's a proper ardent stay. You think they can't wait to get him over fences next year. The Tizard horse is interesting. I backed the Nicky Henderson horse. I think it's called Fresh Kicks, who he beat last time out at Kempton. I'm pretty sure he traded at 101 because he was home and home seemingly jumping the last. It's such a short run in at Kempton. And as Paul alluded to, he got stuck into him and he's ended up winning by about half a length in the end. The Henderson horse, Fresh Kicks, has won since. So I'm interested to see how he runs. Stepped up into 3 miles, but it's probably one for me. I won't have a bet. I'd expect Conman John to win, but again, I'd be more interested in the Tizard horse for a long-term perspective. But yeah, fascinating race, and I want to allude to what Paul said earlier about John Hunt, because John was very good to me when I got to the press room back in 2016 when I started covering, and he brought me on to Fives Live, I think 2018 for my first interview there. So I'm hoping that there is a lot of money on Saturday, because it's a fabulous cause and it couldn't go to a better place.
Absolutely. But that is all we have got time for in today's episode. Hopefully we found you a few winners on the card here, and as Jack and Paul have said, hopefully there is plenty of money raised as well for the John Hunt Family Fund. But we will see you again next time, where we'll be starting to think about some of the big Christmas racing and taking a look ahead to the likes of Leopardstown, the King George, and lots of others as well.